community. So you can launch such a service with a huge community. You start with the biggest, I just mentioned one network, but there are others like that are very big, that have a lot of users. What I mean is that these companies, these networks are more flexible for new types of services. And starting just with these networks is already enough to have some critical mass for such a service. That's pretty much what I mean. Of course, on the long run, we like to have it implemented in as many countries as possible, in as many networks as possible. It's easier to start to launch a new service with a smaller company, more flexible, than with a huge organization.
Just on that follow-up on the 883 point, is there an exhaust problem there? And if you're hugely successful. And the second is having another number might be, a global number might be one solution. I'm just thinking, wouldn't another solution be just intelligent routing? So you've got a one number, and it forwards to your other numbers.
Yeah, there are already services like that are being created. You mean something like RAN Central, for example, where you have one number forwarding to your different devices.
Yeah, that type of solution versus having another number that people call globally. Just two solutions to the same problem.
Well, first of all, if you have a number like that, it's still linked to a country. There are some services that are really global in their nature, that are not linked to any country in particular, where you would like, for example, I don't know, you could imagine you moving to another country, you keep your number with you, even if you move permanently. You have global portability. You could imagine to port the number from one carrier, the US carrier, to a carrier in China. So it's global portability also that you could have with this type of numbers. That's what it brings in addition to just a country number.
What about exhaust?
And about exhaustion, well, right now I'm in a country code that gives you, it's up to 15 digits long. So if you remove the 3 digits from the country code, you still have 12 digits. It's several billion numbers. Well, if you can get to that stage, I think that...
I didn't realize
That's amazing. Don't have that problem.
Yeah, that's a question about the I3 forum. So y'all focus on a way to peer, define standards for that, and you like the idea of having settlement. Do y'all anticipate a standard way to define or be able to manage bilateral agreements for carriers that peer and settle?
Well, when you use peer in the I3 forum, we actually mean trunking. So we mean having international IP interconnections. The business model that's right on top of it is the existing one. It's the same one that we have today. I mean, today all the carriers in the I3 forum have IP connections, so they already have IP peering if we want with a lot of customers, but they don't have peering on a business model type of arrangements. That does not exist. So what we say is we want to have more IP interconnections, more IP trunking. We want the percentage of our transit voice traffic in voice over IP to increase. But that doesn't mean that we want to be settlement free. And again, we're not completely against settlement free. It's just open to the situation that each carrier is in. We want to leave that to each carrier to decide. And I could elaborate on good situations to be settlement free.
Well, I'm sorry, let me clarify my question. I guess my question I want to change is people want to interconnect with I3 forum members over IP. Are you defining a standard? This is how we interconnect, so I think that's clear at the signaling level. But is there kind of a standard mechanism for tracking and billing interconnect sessions? Or is that different by every bilateral agreement?
No, it's what we want to facilitate is folks that are pure TDM today that want to go into VoIP and haven't gone so because they're worried about quality, or they need to buy some voice equipment, they need to make some interconnections, and they're not really sure what to do. Will they go H.223, will go SIP? Once they go SIP, which codec they need to buy, because they're not going to buy every codec that every manufacturer wants to sell. So what we are recommending is a set of practice and say, okay, well, this is what you can do. If you want the best quality, you might want a G711. If you want to have a compressed codec, we recommend G729 instead of like billions of them. You want a compressed codec, that's fine. It's your right. It's your you want to have savings on transport, that's fine. We understand that, but we recommend one compressed codec, not many. On the signaling, we go into SIP or SIP-High. If you want to be sure that you pass, in some countries it's very important to have all the ISIP information carried through. If you go to Germany, they have a lot of ISDN. It's critical for them that all this information is carried through. So they cannot go on SIP just like that, and they need to do SIP-High. The GSMA is recommending SIP-High. A lot of our customers are mobile customers. That's where the biggest rates are. So we need to provide them with a solution that guarantees every functionality that they have today in TDM. So we say, well, it's SIP-High. When you go to SIP, SIP is very open. So we just come up with requirements. Where do we put the CLI? Where we put the OCNRDN and a lot of other functions that are required in the international business that are not very standardized. I mean, there is a standard, but there are different interpretations of the standard. So we just agree on one interpretation of that standard. And then when we go into the billing layer and the business model layer, we say it's the same business model than today. So there is settlement. The settlement today relies on CDRs. The same CDRs that we have in TDM, we need to have them on IP. So if you're a manufacturer of a soft switch or any other equipment, you need to provide the CDRs that exist today in TDM, because that's what we need to ensure that the business model we have today in TDM remains on IP. Did that answer your question, or maybe not?
It did. So you basically CDRs are clear, and basically there's no I3 form CDR. You guys will just work with whatever CDRs your vendors give you.
Right, because again, we want to have a recommendation for the whole industry. We need all these carriers, all of us, and all our customers have invested a huge amount of money in their IT infrastructure to manage, to build, to reconcile, all that kind of stuff. We cannot go and say, oh, we're going to do VoIP, it's going to be fantastic. We're not a startup, and most of the carriers, international carriers we're dealing with, are not startups. So it needs to be a smooth transition. We want to promote, to foster this transition, to go as fast as we can, but we need to take into account on what exists today. So what exists today is billing systems that rely on CDR. So the billing systems don't care if the CDR comes from a soft switch or from a TDM switch, they want a CDR format. So we're just not recommending anything else than that, same CDR. Do VoIP, but do it the way you do it in TDM today. And that's first phase. That's the standard vanilla flavor for anybody. And then we will work on other business opportunities that will depend on specific cases.
One question is, Everest data